Українському кризовому медіа-центрі.
Dear colleagues, we continue our work at Ukraine Crisis Media Center.
З'явилася функція
There is a function of checking the payments. Our guests are Maxym Nefedov, the Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Oksana Markarova, First Deputy Minister of Finance of Ukraine, Nataliya Kravchenko, head of the project .007 search instrument. Good afternoon. I'm happy to welcome you, and I would like to say that today is an important event. I hope that there will be more of such events in the future. We are opening the open data centers, open society centers, which turn all democracy into something new, more efficient, more transparent. And something that allows the citizens to control the bureaucrats, and it allows the bureaucrats to save budget money. And we already have some examples of how it operates, and we are filling in the map now. What we are talking about in the Ministry of Economy, we have a wonderful project ProZorro, which is for public procurements. In the Ministry of Finance, we have e-data project, and there is a project 007, which is the graduate of the incubator 1991, which is about visualization of data and easy search for data for Ukrainian citizens. We all cover some separate parts of the process of public expenditures, and now we demonstrate the first example of integration, which allows anyone as observer or direct participant of procurements to see how the process is taking place. The key stages of public procurements are on the stage. We're starting from planning, then there are different stages which end in signing the agreement. In blue, we have what we have already. What's in the beginning and the end is what the data is doing. Where are the functions of planning, payment, and control of execution. Now we're integrating the part which is about checking the payments, inspecting the payments, and so you will see whether there was a payment made to the winner, when, and was it in full, paid in full. Why it is important? We understand that there are some manipulations. The favorite supplier is paid within 1 day, and others will have to wait for money for 3 months, or will not get any money. We have such an example in Kharkiv Metropolitan. Some contracts say that the term of payment is up to 200 days. That means that there's a big field for interpreting what 200 days are. Even taking into account the cost of the bank loans, the risks, we understand that this is what makes the proposal much more expensive, because they will be hiding all the risks in the price, and there will be fewer money left for the Army for Social Needs. Now we can check how payments are made and statistically identify very creative clients. And any participant of the tender could see whether the client pays regularly and correctly and then such a bidder can make a conclusion whether it's worth participating in such a tender. How does it work? It's very simple for the user, even though there's a lot of work around it. On the site ProZorro.gov.ua, there's a link to check payment on the site 007.org.ua. If this payment has been made already, you will see absolutely all the details of the payment document. If not, you will understand that this payment hasn't been done. That's the first step of such integration, and we hope that we will continue this work. Don't be too optimistic. It's not the end of the road. We can celebrate the end of the project. No, that's not so. We are working with the state treasury to make this process more convenient, so that the client can have the whole list of tenders. And but what is of most interest, the issue of payment. That's always the question number one. And the people have an illusion that state pays badly. We would like to show that it's not so. During the last 2 years, there are some of them, but there are no such problems. No one has to believe us just when we are talking about that. There is a very easy instrument to control it. And now I would like to give the floor to my colleagues. Thank you. What is e-data? This is the project of the Ministry of Finance, which we started together with many of the activists, and we started the first part, creating the portal of use of public money. And the portal has been operating for a year already. We are completing the test regime. e-data is an umbrella brand for two portals. One portal, spending of UA, and the future portal, which is being created, open budget gov.ua. Today we're talking about very important stage, because together, thanks to this project 007, we can show how systemic integrations will take place. Today, the e-data portal is the biggest database for public finance of Ukraine. We already have 25 million transactions of the treasury. We have 7 million agreements, acceptance acts, and we registered 43% of money spenders in Ukraine. This is little, too little. We would like to thank some of the cities and regions which provided most of the information, and we would like to remind others that that's their obligation according to the law, but only 13% of public companies download the agreements and reports to portal. We address you with the kind request, and that the last time when we addressed the kind request, please ensure that all your expenditures are absolutely transparent, because in the nearest future the Ministry of Finance will take measures to fill in these portals. Portal e-data is the second one out of the best IT projects in Ukraine. We are happy that The efforts of everyone are recognized not just by us, but by all our partners. Thanks to us, Ukraine has progressed up in the Global Open Data Index. Today we have about 35 to 133 visitors of the portal. What are our benchmarks? From the very beginning of the launch of the portal, we wanted it to be very simple, open, so that it corresponds to international standards, and we did so. We implemented API so that everyone can see all the information. What do we have today? We have our portal e-data. Our task is to ensure maximum true and correct information in open mode. At the same time, we understand that this information will be useful when we will be able to integrate it with other open databases, especially with our champion program ProZorro. Integration on the basis of official resources takes a lot of time, because such integration should be methodologically, legislatively corrected, and this integration will be full-fledged when we unite the database of the Ministry of Finance, State Treasury, State Fiscal Service, Customs Service. That is when there will be a global unification of our resources. Then we will unite all this data. And we are happy today that many independent mass media and NGOs use our data almost every day. Громадське TV, Наші гроші portal, Ukrainska Pravda, they refer to our portal every day, and that's the best confirmation of what we do, of the fact that what we do is needed. There are 6 independent services which are created on the basis of our portal using API. And today we'll mention 007. Each one of them uses e-data, which is important for their mission, for their strategic tasks, and it develops it much better than e-data. Our task is to provide information. And today's example, we have open data. We have open data for open data for us, for ProZorro system. A lot of people are interested in all this data. We are on the way of systemic integration of our 2 services. It will be completed, and then both we and ProZorro system simultaneously, we will be able to see all the data there. And today we will show you the sample, how using API access to both portals 007 created the service that can show the example of such integration. So please use it, and I will give the floor to our partner, and she will tell about 007.
Доброго дня.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm Nataliya Kravchenko. I'm head of project of 007 system, and I would like to thank everyone. So, for several words about our project. The system 007 is a web portal on the basis of the portal on public finances, and we would like to provide the means to see how public funds are used. We gather data from different registers, e-data, data.gov, UA, their state statistics site, and a system of ProZorro procurement system. Using the data from different sources, we provide useful data to decrease corruption and to increase transparency. The idea to create such a service was at the beginning of the last year, and our project team took part in the contest, and we became the participants on the incubator as a full-fledged portal. We started this year. You can find us on the internet. 007 or QA, and our team was able to gather two large projects as eData and ProZorro, and the idea of our joint project is to increase transparency of tender procurement, providing information about operations and how to use the system. It is very simple. You go to the ProZorro portal, you choose the tender in the status of completed, and you introduce its name. Then you go into the details of the tender procurement, and we can verify payments. Then we go to 007, and there is a list of transactions between those who ordered and then those who won the tender. So we see the details on these transactions. You can see all the transactions between organizations, and this information is reflected on the whole, so this is the platform for gathering the information, and we can see how the money of the taxpayers is used. We are going to develop the service further to verify tenders and transactions. If there are no payments by order of the user, they will send to his address. After these transactions are over, there will be information sent to the user. This is all. Thank you for attention. Thank you, Nataliya. Thank you, colleagues. Maybe you have questions to the speakers. Please. Good afternoon. Oksana, UCMC. I have several questions to each of you. Firstly, Nataliya, did you have presentation of the service in business community, and whether business can use this opportunity in their work with their agents if this is a state enterprise? And this is the first question. And the question to Oksana about whether you can tell us about the contest on eData activities, and how do you identify the winners, and is this competition interesting to the journalists? And to Nefedov, I have a question in the context of the order of establishing so you know that there is an order of the Ministry of Regions, and there will be the local government will create commissions, and they will establish the winner. So did the ministry address you whether this contest should be carried out through ProZorro, and other technical capabilities for this? First, I will answer the first one. So our system 007 is potentially interesting for businesses because we provide detailed information what and where is needed in the region, in the state sector. So if business sector is interested in cooperation with the organizations, state organizations, they can find the cooperation there. Thank you for your question. So it is a little bit outside ProZorro project because ProZorro deals with procurement by using the same philosophy of open data and IT architecture and competition. We work on the analog system for purchases. So we made an announcement. I won't repeat. This is fund of a guarantee of deposits, and there are there are means from 18 banks, and there are banks that are liquidated now, but I believe that there are huge funds, so this is priority activity, and as of today we started testing of first products, and we have 18 platforms that are connected to this testing, and there is a lot of work, and we also communicate with other potential users of the similar systems. We communicate with the State Property Fund on the lending of state and communal property. Also, we communicated with the Vice Premier Gennady Zubko on conducting electronic tenders, and also about operating companies that replace SBB so the only thing, and I will cite an anecdotal story, Isaac can do anything, but he can do anything at everything at the same time. So the resources of our team are limited. Most programs work with the help of volunteers through donor programs, so please join us and help us because we have a lot to do and we need new hands. So we do not expect that we will deal with everything in the country, and we do not have understanding how to solve all the problems, but we want to create live infrastructure with NGOs, with different projects, with the private business who will deal and integrate additional services. And I believe that the initiative 007 is the bright example of this. So the state can outsource these services to other people who will be more creative in their thinking and more resultative than civil servants. Oksana told us that they are in the rigid framework of legislation, and sometimes we are too slow because of this. And there is a short story about integration with the single state register of ProZorro, but maybe this story lasts for a year already. So this infrastructure, this is very important, and I hope that my colleagues will get more services that we will provide, and we as a state should open data maximally that will provide us with opportunity to create effective functional services. Thank you. Thank you for your question. We approach to 15th of September. This is a very important date for us. Firstly, because we should provide a project of budget of this day, and secondly, we approach to the anniversary of our portal of the use of public funds. So we can. This is our second contest of investigation. First, we conducted in winter. And first contest, we were surprised by the large number of people and interest and quality projects that were submitted. Now we see even more interest. This is the most public part of the program of the use of public funds, and we see a lot of projects, and we hope for more. And we will try to show the best projects, the best examples of the use of e-data platform. And I would like to draw your attention to this project as a 007. This is a public initiative that is useful for getting information, and at the same time official printing from our data of UA. This is an official document that can be used not only in the journalist investigations. And I would like to say that on the background of public interest and investigations, we see the increase in our portal that is also interesting for us from the side of law enforcers, and we get requests based on data printing materials to support some financial transactions that underlie some investigations and verifications, and that will result in cases on the misappropriation of funds or stealing on this or some budget fraud. So this is an important instrument, and I believe that portal ProZorro portal and public fund use portal, when they will be fully integrated, this program will be assessed in years. We are financial specialists. We should not fight corruption, but by this initiative, we reduce the level of corruption, and even now, our colleagues and top officials, when they plan some procurement, they all know that this transaction will be on our portal, and this transaction, Chesna project, Tochna project, whether they will be in top 10 of weird procurements. So this view on this, it is correct, because prevention of corruption and prevention of an effective procurement and long-term prospect is much more important than fighting corruption. That is really important. But if we reduce this sphere, and they will see this is hard, expensive, or impossible, in this case, we will reach the effect we want to get, that each hryvnia of the taxpayers that was paid into the budget would go to those purposes. The taxpayers hired officials to carry out this work. Thank you, dear colleagues. So maybe I will read. This was provided by one of the participants. So, Darnitsky construction department, so they made 162 disqualifications, another 6, and another. And there are always 2 winners, the company starting with P or company starting with O. So this information is provided by one of NGOs that fight corruption. This is Transparency International, that are in the Department of Audit of Kyiv City Administration. So yes, we see you. So the last question. One more question. It's either center. So can the Ministry of Economy influence on the structure that you deal with, or on other structures? So the Ministry of Economy is at the same position on the use of ProZorro system use and audits that are adopted by the Cabinet of Ministers for 50 largest enterprises, and the majority, they didn't read this provision, or they believe that they reduced in size and they are not in this list. So in the majority of cases, this is a sabotage, and these are not examples that people just do not know. This is the reason why we breach the contracts with the heads of these enterprises. They file to courts, they try to return, and they try to return, and it shows that reform is a complex issue. That's why I'm really happy that we today are speaking about integration, because without corporate governance, without selection of the heads of these companies, without proper audit of state services, and without external audit, and financial plans coordination, and data opening, and the results of these contracts and payments, there are some gaps, and we try to unite, and we believe that we won't leave place for corrupt activities. And I made some post on Facebook. Mr. Sitnik and Kholodnitsky will find you. 1 second, please. So we thank IDES Center. We cooperate along this way, and we will join this work on state enterprises. This is very difficult work. We understand that there are some people who deal with these funds in the regions, and they do not have access to electronic resources, and they work on paper, and we understand why some of the reports are not downloaded. And there is no explanation for this, why companies that have enough funds, IT department and financial department, we can download this information automatically, but they don't do it. And what we are planning in the Ministry of Finance, as Maxym told us, we can ask, right, and we can make orders, we can punish, but it doesn't influence all, but there is a number of instruments that we can use, and now we are on the way that all the state companies should coordinate their financial plans, and all financial companies addressed to for some harmonization and coordination at the level of the Cabinet of Ministers. We will raise these issues, that downloading of the data to spending of UA for state companies is obligatory norm that will help to coordinate things, and this will be provided by regulations on and the use of public funds regulation and law is very important, and we demand adherence to this law. And in September we will announce about the increase of state companies that would upload their data on our portal. So we will end at that. So thank you and goodbye. Dear colleagues, our next press briefing is at 11:30.